So we're going to do a little special video for you guys working with the low back. And I'm also going to talk about the energetics of the low back and how the connection to the low back actually interfaces with the hub of the neck and shoulders. So just taking a moment to just notice that we have two major hubs in the body. We have the band that runs along the path of the hips, and then the band that runs along the path of the shoulders. And so the swing usually holds around the underarms, around the waist, or actually at the front of the hips. So these are the two major hubs of the body that I think the swing addresses in such a powerful way because of the pressure and the tractioning that happens both for the connective tissue and the lymph system, and then the interface with the spine and the overlay of the endocrine system and chakras. So we're going to talk about the energetics of that and why it's so powerful for people, as well as this tractioning the spine out of the pelvis to create space in between the vertebrae by the lift of the sternum and the dropping of the lower body, and just using gravity to do the work and create space is huge for chronic back pain, both upper and lower back, but particularly the lower back, which is one of the reasons why I got into the healing arts 20 years ago and dedicated my life to this practice. Was having severe back pain and knee problems at a really young age, which seemed so weird to me, like what's going on? And then of course I had to work out the energetics of that. So it's not just the physical practice, but we have to understand the levels of stress that happen in our lives affect the body, and also our capacity to create stability and safety and security. So to have a container for our energy. So if we put too much pressure on the system, it will tend to be strained or under stress and then doesn't function well, right? So we have to like kind of come up with the kind of psycho-spiritual or mental-emotional connection to these parts of the body, and that's why getting into the swing and being easy about it and having fun usually is part of the healing practice, and why aerial yoga play is kind of the first stage or step, and then we move into the AYRx, which is understanding how to apply those practices and move more into the regenerative therapeutics. So our first, and we're going to go really slow at first, our first major pose, our go-to is a sumo squat. So even in our sumo squat, we're tractioning the spine out of the pelvis to create space in between the vertebrae. And just even doing this simple rocking of the pelvis and lengthening and opening through not only the front body, but through the inner groin and into the legs is incredibly helpful for the back. It's also really intense for the underarms, and we're reconstructing the relationship to the posture where we're lifting up and really getting that spaciousness in the sternum that's uncomfortable for people when they've been rounding in. So we're learning how to engage with our upper body in a way that holds the posture, as well as relax in the pelvis so that it can hang and space can happen. So I always get just instant adjustments, and things just start to go back into their proper alignment and arrangement. So that's lots of lunging, lots of twists and turns here make a big difference. So we can hang with the swing underneath our arms, or we can hang with the swing at our waist. And so we're going to go ahead, you can stay in that position. I'm going to come and mimic model with you. So if we wanted to get into it with ease, we're going to come into our chilaxin, which is the leg loops behind the back of the knees. With the leg loops behind the back of the knees, we're going to work with the lower back and sacrum, the iliac crest and the SI joint specifically. So what we're going to do is move a little bit more quickly into an inversion by holding onto the swing so we're still supported. And then we let it slide into the low back. It's important to get it right across the hips, so there's a little wiggle that happens there. And then our legs go wide and around. When we hook in front, then we have complete support. It also kind of traces the line of the psoas muscle. And then we're doing the same thing. We're tractioning the spine out of the pelvis and creating space in between the vertebrae, and just gravity doing the work. And so now the intensity is at our hips, and this is a large joint in the body, less sensitive than the underarms, obviously. And so from this place of creating space, healing just happens. It happens to to us and for us. And I really like the idea of doing some YOGASSAGE here. So we've been practicing on helping and assisting, just this openness that happens through the whole spine and into the neck. And so we're going to help the neck here and just create a relationship to the back of the neck and interlace the fingers behind the occipital ridge, behind the skull. And then just this gently rocking from side to side, really slow, is going to open up that relationship between the lower back and the hub at the neck and shoulders. And so a millimeter of space makes all the difference. So not only do we want to get the length, but we want to get the alignment. So for Keri, I'm going to have you hold your fingers closer to the sides of the neck and pull straight down. And I want you to open up your chin a little bit more so the crown of the head is pointing towards the floor. And just allow there to be a little bit more length through the sides of the neck. Great. You can even use your fingers on the sides more. Yeah, like that. Beautiful. And just see if that feels good, to see if you can get the neck to move a little bit further back over the body. And we can open up the scaling. So I was saying to Keri, we're going to interface between the lower back and neck. And just make sure all of this tightness, all of this musculature, and I'm sure a lot of you guys experience and feel, can start to really loosen up. Beautiful. That's it. And so that we can also address in some YOGASSAGE, because the musculature, which has been developed to hold up the body in relationship to the posture, needs to change. So not only do we change the posture, we have to change the muscle development and strengthen the parts of the body that have been underused and open, and release the places that have been overdeveloped. Beautiful, honey. Okay, great. Seems so simple, right, to hang here, but it makes a huge difference. And then we're going to add some twists. So our arms can come down to the ground, and then we're just going to allow ourselves to palms down and just add a little twist in the body. So twisting from side to side. You can kind of look at the camera and see what's happening there. Yeah. So this just gentle rocking and twisting and wringing out the spine is going to open up whatever level of connective tissue needs to happen. So we can really dissect the body and get into it, or we can just stretch everything in these postures and then feel, oh yeah, that side body really needs to open on the right more than the left, or I'm feeling a little bit more tension. My clients are really good about spontaneously giving me feedback. They'll be like, I'm feeling that a little bit more in the front of the left hip when I stretch than I am in the right. And so it really, the swing, not only is it like masterful at creating alignment, it's also like truth serum, that it shows us every little discrepancy in the body. And this is what we discovered this week when we were working with Keri with the neck. Since I can work directly with her and see her in a way that she can't when she's teaching. So we're always learning by that reflection with one another, and why it's so great to work in these groups with some of the more advanced teachers and go deeper. So can you feel what's happening in the side body here? Just really easy, Keri? Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is incorporate more of this connection between the upper and lower bodies, and I'm going to reach up for the leg loops in my hands and create a wrist wrap. And this is a little bit more advanced, so we would just stay with those first couple poses. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to not hook my feet, but they're going to be straight up towards the sky, and then my arch of the foot is pushing in to the swing. And then from this position, I'm going to squeeze a little bit towards center. I'm squeezing with yes. Now this can be a little bit unnerving for a new student because you're not fully hooked. So we always create hooks and anchors for really safe practice, but I want to just show you this piriformis stretch. Now, the holding on to the leg loops in my hands is actually stretching my neck and my shoulders in a really beautiful way. And so I don't do a whole lot of wiggling here as much as I'm just going to drop in and feel how the piriformis and the sacrum is opening. And I call this the hangman because you really are just kind of floating here. The swing is tractioning that area along the lower back, but nothing is hooked. So we really do feel like we're kind of levitating and floating.
So even in this position, your shoulders could be a little bit more even, so you can pull one shoulder up, or you can let both shoulders hang down. So let the left shoulder hang down more, and let the right shoulder relax again. Relax down towards the ground with your right shoulder. There it is. Cool. So little tiny discrepancies in the body. Sometimes rolling the shoulders around can loosen both shoulders up too. We just take a moment to breathe. So working one-on-one with someone where you can spot them here, where they feel really nice and safe, is helpful. And then of course doing more YOGASSAGE in the inversions will help open up the body quite a bit. So this is definitely one of my favorite positions for opening up the lower back. And then we're going to prepare to come out. So we're going to do a crunch and come into our wide straddle, and then put the leg loops back on so we can land in our chillaxin. Thank you. Now in our chillaxin pose, in this position, I'm also going to pull the leg loops up into the groin, and we're going to end in a down dog. But with the leg loops up really high, what I have noticed, and I might just turn around again so we can both go the same way, but we'll see how it goes. So I really want to cut into that crease of the groin in order to get some relief for the back. So we always work the back and the front of the body evenly in order to relieve lower back pain. So we're going to come forward into our skydiver, okay, which we're moving into a little bit more quickly, and then get the leg loops in a good position, and then drop the swing. And when we drop the swing, we can drop onto our forearms and hang. Now this position also is incredible for not only releasing the back, but really digging into that tightness that lives in the front of the hip flexor and groin. And that really needs to be addressed for back pain to completely go away. We can bend our knees and bring our feet together here like we're in our butterfly, and press back a little bit more so it's an upside down dog, yeah. So in this position, we're really lengthening and opening the front of the body without putting any pressure on the back, which is amazing. We're starting to address any hip tension and opening up the front of the legs as well. And then go ahead and extend the legs again wide, and then we create a little bit of swagger, all the rocking motion, all the opportunities we have to really just work with the connective tissue and create that swaying. Swagger in the swing feels really good. Beautiful, Keri. So we can hang out here for quite a long time to get the biggest opening or the deepest stretch, but we're going to pull forward into a wide straddle. So in our wide straddle forward fold, we just slowly start to come up. So we come into our fold to get more length through the hamstrings, and the lower back and the hips. And we're pouring our weight forward, so our head is closer to the ground than our normal forward folds, and then we can rock back. And when we rock back, the fabric, the material of the leg loops is actually wrapping around the sit bones and getting more into the back of the hip a little bit more. Beautiful. And then when we're ready to come up, we're going to come up nice and slow. See if we can use the strength of our back to come up. You can always hold on to the swing. To reverse. And then we come on back in. And we're going to sit down. Beautiful. And then when we sit down, it's always fun to hang out and chillax and a little bit longer and feel what that connection is with the hips heavy, heart open, head relaxed. Lots of time just hanging out here. From here, there's lots of different chill flow variations where a hanging child's pose might actually feel like the most relieving and soothing yin posture to take on. Just tiny micro movements. And then we can also expand into our star from here. So we expand our arms, expand our legs, stretch, stretch, stretch. Beautiful. Exhale, come in and round. So really basic with a lot of these different postures, but very deep. So go ahead and stay there. I'm just going to come on out and end the video. Really nice, Keri. Beautiful. So yeah, so that's how I would really emphasize in my own practice, but also with new people, the lower back and the importance of working on the spine and incorporating
both the upper and lower bodies and noticing the two hubs here that are working together. I think it's really important to emphasize this lifting of the sternum and how this lift up is allowing the hips to come down. And so there's this nice long length in the body, and then we work with the limbs from there. So we're always incorporating the connective tissue and the energy lines that run on the inner thighs up into the core, and then the connective tissue and the energy that runs from the heart and the chest into the neck and shoulders. So to understand that the back body and the front body are always communicating with one another, always working together. I think energetically that's really an important factor. Most people are seeing themselves as parts, or little compartmentalized components, and the body works as one system. Okay, thank you, Keri. That was really beautiful.
Thank you.
Happy to review that.